On Christmas, my son left me out in the cold, a heartwarming, life-changing reunion revealed through unlikely circumstances. The snow fell in heavy sheets, blanketing the small Midwestern town in a hushed silence that felt heavier than any winter chill. Inside his modest home, Henry sat alone at the dining table, staring at a single plate of food. This Christmas was supposed to be different, supposed to be filled with the laughter of his son, Jake, who had once been his closest ally in holiday traditions. Instead, Jake had chosen to spend the holiday with friends, leaving Henry feeling abandoned and shattered. He couldn't help but think of Christmases past, where their living room sparkled with lights and laughter filled the air as they tore through wrapped gifts. A warmth wrapped around them then, a sense of family, love, and togetherness that now seemed to drift away like the flames of a dying fire. He remembered their rituals, the cookie decorating, the carols sung off-key, the way Jake's eyes sparkled with wonder as he tried to catch a glimpse of Santa. Those moments felt like distant echoes now. Feeling trapped by his isolation, Henry shoved his half-eaten dinner aside and decided to attend the local community event at the town hall, aimed at assisting veterans and families in need. As he stepped out into the snowy night, the cold stung his face, but he welcomed it as a reminder that he was still alive, even if feeling invisible to the world. The warmth of mingling voices filled the community center, and he found solace in listening to fellow parents sharing their struggles. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Meanwhile, Jake was surrounded by friends, the sounds of laughter and celebration enveloping him, yet he felt an unsettling emptiness gnawing at his insides like a hungry wolf. He thought he could drown out the ache of missing his father, but a conversation with a friendly veteran at the gathering shifted his focus. The man spoke of duty, sacrifice, and the importance of family, reminders Jake had brushed aside. Each word resonated with him, digging into the values Henry had instilled. As fate would have it, a sudden blizzard erupted, trapping Jake in town. He sought shelter, moving through the swirling snow until he stumbled upon the community center, unaware that inside, his father was fervently working to brighten others' holidays. The bell chimed as Jake entered. Henry's heart dropped, his pulse quickened. The air thickened between them, charged with unspoken words and past misunderstandings. Henry's eyes, filled with hurt yet brimming with love, met Jake's gaze. A lifetime of memories spilled into that charged moment, the laughter, the tears, the sacrifice of a devoted father. "I never stopped loving you, kid," Henry finally said, his voice breaking the silence. Would this Christmas be their turning point, or would the icy warmth of misunderstandings consume them both? The snow continued to fall outside, a bitter reminder as they stood at the edge of reconciliation, both unsure of what steps to take next. Jake stood frozen at the entrance, snowflakes clinging to his hair as if nature was witnessing a moment too big for words. The community center felt distant, yet oddly familiar, as if he were stepping back into an old life he thought he had outgrown. His father's voice lingered in the room, vibrant with hidden emotions. For a heartbeat, it felt like time had stopped, echoing the past they shared. Henry's gaze softened. Jake, the quiver in his voice betrayed the strength he tried to portray. "I didn't know if you'd want to see me," Jake muttered, his own heart vibrating with equal parts guilt and longing. He stepped further into the warmth, allowing the door to close behind him, sealing the cold outside. Henry caught his breath, shock still etched across his face. "Why would you think that?" "You're my son," he replied, folding his arms as if trying to absorb his son's very presence, as if it could remind him that love could still heal deep wounds. "This place needed you too. I needed you." A quiet tug of war played out in Jake's chest, a battle between youthful rebellion and the unconditional love of a father. He took an embarrassed breath, glancing around at the decorations, the smiling volunteers. "I just thought maybe you wouldn't want me back. I'm glad you're here." Henry stepped forward, hands outstretched like inviting branches. Forget the past mistakes. It's okay. You're here, isn't that what matters? The words hung in the air, a lifeline between them. Jake's heart surged, a flicker of hope ignited deep within him. I was being selfish. I thought all I needed was freedom. But knowing you were alone, it stings. Henry stepped closer, his eyes reflecting a mixture of pride and sorrow. It's part of growing up, I guess. I didn't realize how much I needed you until it was too late. But that doesn't mean we can't start again. Jake nodded, the fight slipping away. Can we start again, I mean? Henry chuckled softly, breaking the weighty atmosphere. One step at a time. Let's South make this place brighter tonight. Together. Jake hesitated but then smiled, the warmth in his father's voice reaching him like a comforting blanket. They turned together, wandering through the community center, soaking in joyful laughter and the spirit of giving that colored the room. As he helped rearrange ornaments for the children's craft table, Jake felt his worries lift. Henry joined him, their shoulders brushing against each other. The clinking of holiday decorations was accompanied by a deepening friendship, old patterns slowly unraveling, replaced by new ones woven through laughter and shared tasks. Outside, the storm continued to rage, but inside, the atmosphere shifted. People gathered around, their voices rising, clinking cups filled with cocoa and stories shared over holiday cheer. And just as Jake found a comfortable rhythm, a loud ruckus erupted from the back, the fire alarm blaring and children shrieking. It threw their moment of peace into chaos, but amidst the anxiety, a familiar feeling tugged at Jake's heart once more. Looking at Henry, a shared determination sparked between them. Together, they would face whatever happens next. Let us go save Christmas. Jake shouted, his smile infectious in the rising commotion. Would they be able to work together to make the holiday brighter, or would unforeseen challenges test their renewed bond? The blizzard outside raged, but inside, a fire of hope began to burn. Jake dashed toward the back of the community center, his heart racing as the wail of the fire alarm pierced through the laughter and chatter. The air, once thick with holiday joy, shifted to panic. He could see volunteers scrambling, parents ushering their children out. Stay calm. Henry's voice cut through the chaos, steady and firm. Jake glanced back to see his father moving with purpose, directing people to the nearest exits, ensuring everyone was safe. Jake! Help me! Henry called, and Jake sprinted to his side. Together, they checked the craft room where children were huddled in fear, wide eyes transfixed on the flashing lights. It's just a drill. A lady reassured them, but Jake could see the quivering lips and shaky breaths. His heart squeezed. Hey, it's okay. Jake shouted, trying to inject some calm. We're all together. Just follow my voice. He worked his way through the small crowd, urging the nervous children forward. As one child grabbed his hand, it ignited a spark of unity. Let us go out together. He said, his voice stronger now. Everyone followed, and the group moved as one. Henry rushed to his side, his eyes proud yet focused. You're a natural, son. Just that moment felt like a turning point. This wasn't about the past, it was about what they could achieve now. Once outside, the biting cold air hit them like a wall. The kids huddled together, shivering as they took in the swirling snowflakes. Jake and Henry stayed close, reassuring the gathering group. A few parents arrived, panic melting into relief as they made sure their kids were all right. Do you see that? Henry murmured, nodding toward the nearby parking lot where the staff had set up a small tent with hot cocoa and blankets. It was a makeshift comfort amid the frenzy. Let us get the kids warmed up. Good idea. Jake agreed, suddenly feeling that same passion he had lost somewhere along the way. They began leading everyone toward the tent, working together seamlessly as if they had been a team all along. Once settled by the warmth of the heater, Jake poured cocoa into cups for the little ones, watching their frantic smiles melt the ice of their worry. Henry stood close by, sharing a laugh with the parents. Together, they transformed fear into laughter and hope, crafting a little bubble of warmth amidst the storm. "Jake, you really stepped up back there," Henry said quietly, a proud smile breaking across his face. "I knew you had it in you." Jake's heart swelled. "I couldn't have done it without you," he admitted candidly. As they stood side by side, a newfound energy pulsated between them. They had faced chaos, not as father and son divided by misunderstandings, but as a team, united by love and a shared purpose. Just then, a shimmering flash caught Jake's eye. The main hall of the community center glowed in the backdrop, the lights flickering back on. He could hear faint music playing, a soft holiday tune filtering through the chaos. "What do you think?" Henry asked, gesturing toward the center. "I think," Jake said slowly, "we've started something good." But as they exchanged hopeful smiles, Jake's phone buzzed in his pocket. Reaching for it, he found a message that changed everything. It was from someone he hadn't seen in years, someone that could add even more complexity to his already tumultuous evening. "Whoa," he murmured, his heart suspending in uncertainty. "I think we might have a problem. What would this unexpected message mean for their newly rekindled connection?" Jake stared at his phone, the message glowing ominously on the screen. The letters seemed to blur together, each one heavy with unspoken history. It was from Sarah. His childhood friend, the one who had brightened his best days and shared the darkest moments of his childhood. The one who simply disappeared. "Who is it?" Henry asked, glancing over at Jake, concern furrowing his brow. "It's Sarah," Jake stammered, struggling to find the words to explain. It had been over 5 years since they'd last spoken. The weight of their unresolved past hung thick in the air between them. "Is everything okay?" Henry pressed, his protective instincts kicking in. Jake's chest tightened. He wanted to assure his father that it was just a harmless message, but that wasn't the truth. "I'm not sure yet," she says. "She's back in town." A barrage of emotions flooded through him: gratitude, confusion, and a smidge of dread. How could he face her now, after all that had happened? "Should we meet?" Henry suggested cautiously, his tone revealing a blend of excitement and concern for his son. "You could talk things through." "Talk things through?" Jake echoed, the anger of their past bubbling to the surface. "You don't know what she did, Dad." Henry raised an eyebrow, an expression of gentle disbelief crossing his face. Maybe you don't know why she left." Jake bit his lip. He had spent so much time constructing a narrative about why his childhood fell apart, why Sarah had vanished, and with her, a piece of his innocence. The idea that he might need to reassess everything made him feel queasy. "Let's just get everyone to the hot chocolate tent," Jake said, trying to refocus on the here and now, but his heart was still pounding in his ears. They needed to help, to keep the spirit of the holiday alive. As more families gathered under the warming glow of the tent, Jake willed himself to put on a smile. He handed out cups of cocoa, feeling the warmth of tiny hands wrap around the mugs, and hearing their laughter began to ease the tension knotting up inside him, but with every sip the kids took, another wave of doubt washed over him. He hadn't thought about it before: the rage, or the hurt, or even the longing for answers. But now, standing amidst the buzz of reunion and warmth, he couldn't escape the memories of Sarah's laughter echoing in his mind. "Hey, Jake. You okay?" A small voice broke through his thoughts. It was Emmy, a little girl from the craft room, her cocoa-streaked cheeks bright against the winter backdrop. "Yeah, Emmy. I'm good, just thinking," he replied, bending down to meet her eyes. She smiled, innocence spilling from her like the snowflakes swirling outside. "Can I help?" she asked, holding out her tiny hands. A swell of appreciation flooded over him. "Absolutely, you can." He handed her some cups, and together they served the crowd, but Jake couldn't shake the feeling of uncertainty. Suddenly, a quick flash of movement caught his eye. A figure stepped out of the community center's entrance, silhouetted against the bright light, someone familiar. He squinted, his heart racing as the figure turned. It was Sarah. For a moment, everything around him seemed to stand still. The laughter faded, the snow stopped falling, and only the realization of how small their world had become remained. Why was she here? What did she want? Jake. Henry's voice pulled him back to earth, but there was no way he could answer. His world tilted forward, and he felt the weight of every choice he ever made bearing down upon him. Standing frozen, he realized it wasn't just about the past anymore. It was about the future, the moments ahead, and the connections he was still capable of making, or breaking. As the crowd moved around him, whispers and laughter echoed, but all he could focus on was her. What was Sarah here to say after all this time? Jake's mind raced as he tried to process the sight of Sarah standing just a few feet away. All those memories crashed over him like an avalanche. Backyard adventures, whispered secrets, and the day everything changed. The warmth of hot chocolate and laughter felt distant now. Sarah was taller, her hair falling in waves around her shoulders, but it was her eyes that hit him hardest. Those familiar hazel eyes were searching for something he wasn't sure he was ready to give. Jake, she called softly, her voice threading through the crowd, initiating a ripple of shared curiosity. Families turned their heads, laughter paused. He could feel the weight of their gazes on him. He swallowed hard, a lump forming in his throat. "What are you doing here, Sarah?" The words came out sharper than intended. I came back," she replied, glancing around as if the noise of the crowd might swallow her whole. "I wanted to see you." "After 5 years," he pressed, feeling anger slip in with the fear. "You just show up." "I know I'm late," she responded, her voice trembling slightly. "I messed up, Jake. I'd like to explain if you'd let me." The fleeting moments of silence stretched, and it felt like an eternity. Jake's chest constricted painfully. He caught his father's concerned eyes, mingling confusion with caution. He knew Henry wanted him to let her talk, but each second held a threat of old wounds reopening, laying bare the scars. "Why now?" he managed to choke out. "What could you possibly have to say that would change anything?" A flicker of determination crossed Sarah's face. "Because I've missed you. I could never forget how meaningful our friendship was. I made a mistake in leaving, and I want to make it right." Jake wanted to laugh, to shout, to tell her she had no idea how much hurt her absence caused. Yet, there was a part of him, a quiet, fragile part that remembered their childhood laughter, the comfort she brought. Finally, he exhaled, catching a glimpse of the little hands still holding cocoa cups, the innocent joy rushing by. Would he hold on to the past or reach for a flickering chance at something new? "Can we talk?" It wasn't a promise, just a simple invitation. But even that felt monumental. "Please," she whispered, relief painting her features. He took a step toward her, heart pounding louder than a drum, thoughts swirling like the snowflakes drifting through the air. Maybe some light could break through the darkness of their past. As they moved away from the warm glow of the festival, Jake felt the curious gazes of friends and family lingering behind him. Each step felt heavier, yet equally lighter, as hope battled the weight of anger. "Jake," Sarah began, but their surroundings faded away. In this tight moment between them, the world ceased, and only their past tangled with the present. What lay ahead, closure or an open door, was uncertain. But now, they were beginning to navigate together. And just like that, Jake found himself wondering if perhaps forgiveness was a way to begin anew. Yet, before he could voice his thoughts, a distant shout rung through the air unexpectedly. "Mom! Look!" Jake turned, the familiar voice cutting through like a knife. A child had spotted something unfolding back at the tent, tugging on his mother's coat, excitement mixing with worry. "What's happening?" Jake asked, suddenly anxious. The tension in the air thickened once more. Could this day hold another surprise? Or would it unravel everything before he could even speak again? As Jake turned back to Sarah, the shriek of the child faded into the background. But his heart was racing, each beat a muted reminder of the swirling emotions just beneath the surface. He took a deep breath, feeling the cold nip at his cheeks, grounding him in reality, even as his thoughts spiraled. "What did you want to tell me?" he asked, finally brave enough to look into her eyes, those deep hazel eyes that had held laughter, tears, and everything in between. A part of him wanted to hug her tightly and never let go, but another part was still barricaded by fear and hurt. Sarah searched his gaze, vulnerability etched on her face. "I know I hurt you when I left. I was so caught up in my own life that I didn't think about the impact on us." I wish I had. Her voice trailed off, and Jake could see the pain in her expression. "But you left," he reminded her, his tone barely above a whisper. Each word held the weight of years. "You didn't just move away. You disappeared from my life. I know that's why I'm here. I want you to understand it wasn't easy. I had things unraveling back home. My family was falling apart." He wanted to feel sympathy, but all he could muster was confusion. He couldn't reconcile the joyful memories they shared with this struggling young woman before him. "Is this just about making you feel better?" he challenged, a mix of emotions boiling inside him. "Because it sure doesn't feel that way." Her face fell, disappointment clouding her features. "No, Jake. I'm not here to relieve my guilt. I truly care about you. I owe you an explanation and a chance to make amends." The laughter of children erupted nearby, pulling him from the weight of their conversation. Jake glanced toward the festival, a tangle of twinkling lights and joyful voices mingling in the air. He wondered how so much laughter could exist alongside their heaviness. "Can we step out of here?" he said suddenly, needing space to think. He motioned toward a quieter corner away from the throngs of festively wrapped families. As they walked, the thickness of their past hung heavily, and Jake's uneasiness returned. They settled onto a bench beneath a flickering street lamp. For a moment, silence engulfed them, broken only by the faint sounds of celebration further away. "Tell me everything," he urged, the temperature between them shifting like the weather. Sarah took a deep breath, her hands fidgeting with the hem of her coat. "I didn't want to leave. I felt like my life was spiraling. My dad lost his job, family arguments erupted, it was chaos. I thought distancing myself would help, but it hurt us too." She paused, glancing at the ground, and Jake almost felt himself softening. But then the memories of unanswered texts and missed calls flooded his mind, making it hard to breathe. "You could have told me," he said bitterly, recalling countless sleepless nights trying to contact her. "I should have," she admitted. "Every day I wanted to reach out, but I was scared. And ashamed. I thought I could come back when things got better. But they never did." The finality in her admission hung above them, a fragile truce laced with regret. Jake's heart raced again, caught in a tug-of-war between his anger and the flickering hope for renewed friendship. Just when he thought he might respond, another commotion broke out. Suddenly, a group of people rushed past them, their faces a mix of excitement and dread. Jake felt a tightening in his chest. Something was wrong. "Jake! Jake!" a voice shouted through the throng. It was his father, Henry, pushing through the chaos. His brow was furrowed with urgency. "We need you." Panic rose in Jake's gut as he looked at Sarah. Time seemed to suspend. Did this have anything to do with their fragile moment? He stood up, heart pounding, torn between the past and the present. "What is happening?" he said, confusion flooding his mind. That he glanced back at Sarah, and as he did, he couldn't ignore the fear in her eyes or the uncertainty of what awaited him. Would this be a turning point, or was disaster lurking just out of reach? Jake's heart raced as his father's voice echoed in his ears. The frantic look on Henry's face sent chills down his spine. Something was wrong, an instinct kicked in. He had to move. He glanced at Sarah, who looked just as lost, her face pale under the flickering street lamp. "What's wrong, Dad?" Jake demanded, stepping away from the bench but glancing back at Sarah, a tether to both his past and the worries of his present. Henry's eyes darted around, scanning the festival, the laughter of children now drowned out by nervous energy. There's been an accident. Down near the main stage, a little girl was hurt. A burst of adrenaline surged through Jake. A little girl, he echoed, the gravity of his father's words crashing into his chest. What happened? We need help. They're trying to make sure everyone is okay. Your mother and I are down there. But we need you. Without a second thought, Jake's feet were moving, and as he rushed toward the thrumming heart of the festival, shadows of memories with Sarah lingered in his mind. They had always been a team, ready to face the world together, but now the weight of separating moments loomed larger than before. Sarah was at his side, urgency pulling her along. I'll help, too, she called out, firm and resolute, even as fear flickered behind her eyes. In moments, they found themselves navigating past clusters of people, the air thick with panic and urgency. The sound of sirens wailed in the distance, mingling with the festive tunes that had once brought warmth. Jake's heart raced, thoughts spiraling. What had they gotten caught up in? They had just begun to untangle the threads of their past, and now chaos threatened to pull them apart again. As they reached the grassy clearing near the main stage, the sight before them chilled him. A small girl lay on the ground, surrounded by frantic adults, their worried expressions blending into a blur of anxiety and compassion. A medic knelt by her side, whispering reassurances, though her face was twisted with pain. Jake's breath caught in his throat. Memories of his own childhood came rushing back, and he felt a wave of protectiveness surge through him. Stay back. The medic called, and the crowd thickened around him. Jake wanted to push through, to lend a hand, but he felt helpless, coiled tightly in anxiety. All around him, emotions crackled like the evening air, and he realized they were a part of something bigger, a community rallying together, fueled by concern and care. He turned to Sarah, desperate for her strength. We need to help. What can we do? She took a step forward, determination swirling in her hazel eyes. We can assist with crowd control, keep people calm. Jake nodded. The tightness in his chest eased just a bit. Together, they moved with purpose, guiding onlookers away from the scene, whispering encouragement to those anxious faces. But in the back of his mind, the flicker of their earlier conversation nagged at him. Regret and frustration loomed large, yet amidst the crisis, a strange bond began to reform between them. Each moment he spent alongside Sarah felt like a shared mission. It connected them, if only briefly. After what felt like an eternity, the girl was lifted onto a stretcher, her small form clinging to a tattered teddy bear, as medics rushed her to an ambulance. Relief washed over Jake even amid the worry. She wasn't alone. They'd done what they could. The two of them stood silently on the fringes of the crowd, watching the commotion. Just as uncertainty threatened to creep back in, Jake turned to Sarah, emotions swirling again beneath the surface. Thank you for being here, he said, sincerity threading through his voice. Of course, but she paused, searching his eyes. We still need to talk. I don't want to lose this chance or you. Before he could reply, his father approached again, a storm of gratitude mixed with urgency on his face. Jake, Sarah. There is something you both need to know. Panic filled Jake once more. What now? The night held more than just echoes of laughter and distant memories, it loomed heavy with uncertainty. What exactly had Henry discovered? Jake felt the weight of his father's gaze, heavy with unspoken words and lingering worry. He glanced at Sarah, whose expression mirrored his own mix of anxiety and anticipation. It was as if the world around them dimmed, the laughter fading into the background, leaving only the vital moment that lay before them. What is it, Dad? Jake's voice broke the unsteady silence. He could feel his heart thrumming in his chest, every beat echoing the urgency of the situation. Henry took a deep breath, his shoulders visibly tightening under the pressure. There is something you both need to hear. It's about the girl, and it's something I didn't know until tonight. His hands trembled slightly, gesturing toward the crowd that had surged around the blurred chaos. Just tell us, Dad. Jake's impatience bubbled to the surface, worry about the little girl twisted inside him. They found her at the information booth earlier, Henry said, his voice quieter now, almost swallowed by the murmurs of the crowd. She wasn't lost. She was running from someone. Jake's stomach twisted at the implication. Running from who? What do you mean? Henry hesitated, taking a step closer, lowering his voice. They believe she was with a woman who might have been trying to take her. This isn't just a simple accident, there's more at stake. Shock coursed through Jake. The light-hearted atmosphere of the festival dissipated, leaving a cold, fearful edge. He exchanged a look with Sarah. They were caught in the wake of something much darker, something that tore at the fabric of the community they had thought protected them. Do the police have any leads? Sarah asked, her voice firm despite the fear radiating in her eyes. She instinctively took a step closer to Jake, grounding him. Not yet, replied Henry. But they're doing everything they can. I thought you both should know. I wanted you to be safe. Jake swallowed hard. The reality settled over him like a heavy blanket. What do we do now? We stay vigilant, Sarah stated, a resolve filling the air between them. We need to help however we can. This isn't just about the girl anymore, it's about everyone's safety. Right. Jake nodded, adrenaline buzzing through his veins again, driving out the fear. They weren't observers anymore, they had the chance to act. He felt a flicker of that old team spirit return. They were stronger together, and now, they had a purpose. As they moved through the crowd, Jake could sense the shift. People were still anxious, their laughter now muted as fear gripped the festival. Eyes darted around, stealing glances over shoulders, each face a mirror of what they felt, vulnerability mixed with a desperate need to belong and protect. Jake! A familiar voice called, jolting him from his thoughts. It was Emma, his younger sister, her face flushed and tear-streaked. What is happening? I just heard. I'm so scared. His heart clenched. He reached out for her. It's okay. We're here, and we'll figure this out together. But uncertainty knotted in his gut. He wished he could reassure her completely, shield her from the truth they were still unraveling. I want to help, Emma said, her wide eyes shimmering with determination. What can I do? Stay close to us, Sarah replied calmly. Help keep people calm. We'll all work together, all right? As Emma nodded, Jake felt a sense of resolve settle in the pit of his stomach. They were in this together. But just as they started to create a plan, a shout echoed through the crowd, sharp and terrifying. Hey! There she is! Jake's heart plummeted, his breath halting as he turned. A figure dashed from the shadows, a small girl clinging to her mother's hand as they ran toward the paramedics. Get back! Henry shouted, tension rising again. Jake's body moved before his mind could catch up. The girl wasn't just any girl, she was connected to this unfolding nightmare. But who was this woman, and what did she want? The urgent thread of questions tightened around them, snapping at the edges of their hope. Jake's instincts screamed for action, he had to know the truth before it was too late. What surprises awaited them in the depths of the chaos? Jake pushed through the crowd, urgency propelling him forward. He needed to see the girl, the one who had been running. What had she seen? What did she know? As he approached the mass of people now huddled around the paramedics, he caught a glimpse of the girl's face. Tears streamed down her cheeks, and though she clung tightly to her mother, her eyes darted around, wild with fear. It was a look he recognized, it was the look of someone who had just escaped a nightmare. Stay close, he whispered to Sarah and Emma, who fell in step beside him, their expressions etched with worry. The crowd buzzed with anxious energy, voices rising and falling in urgency. Jake pushed closer until he reached the front. A paramedic knelt beside the girl, speaking gently, trying to calm her. It's okay, sweetie. You're safe now. Just breathe. Do you know who she is? Jake called out, hoping someone might share vital information. One of the paramedics, noticing him, glanced up. "We're figuring it out, but she keeps saying someone is after her. We think she's been separated from her family. Is there anything we can do?" Sarah interjected, scanning the crowd for anyone that looked worried or searching. "Keep a lookout. If you see anyone looking frantic, it might be a parent." "We need to know who she belongs to," the paramedic replied, nodding to a nearby officer who was now taking notes from the mother of the little girl. Jake felt adrenaline spike within him. They had to act fast. "Let us split up," he suggested. "I'll head that way, check if anyone is looking for a girl. Sarah, stay here and help the paramedics if you can. Emma, keep an eye on your brother and help where you can." His sister's brow knitted with worry, but she nodded. "Be careful. Promise you'll come back." "I promise," Jake said, squeezing her shoulder for reassurance before setting off through the throngs of people. With each step, dread curled in his gut. What kind of monster would scare a child into running? The festival that only moments ago had felt bright and full of life now seemed dark and sinister. He scanned the crowd, searching for frantic faces. Some people were still reveling in the festivities, unaware of the chaos unfolding. But many were looking around, their eyes filled with fear. "Have you seen a little girl?" he asked a couple who looked profoundly disturbed. They shook their heads. Jake pressed on, feeling more determined. Suddenly, he spotted a woman at the edge of the crowd. She was pacing back and forth, her face drawn tight with worry. He approached her cautiously. "Excuse me, ma'am," he said, trying to sound composed. "Are you looking for someone?" "Yes." She gasped, her voice almost a whisper. "My daughter, Ava. She was right here. We were separated." Jake's heart raced. "Does she have dark hair? About this tall?" He gestured at the height of the girl with the paramedics. "Yes. That's her." The woman's face crumpled, hope and fear washing over her features. "Follow me," he said, leading her back through the crowd. But as they got closer to the paramedics, a new voice cut through. "What do you think you're doing with her?" They both turned. A tall figure loomed, eyes glaring with intensity. "Who are you?" Jake asked, feeling unease ripple through him. "I'm her father." "What right do you have to wait?" The woman interrupted, panic flooding her voice. "She's my Ava." The tension thickened. Jake stood frozen, caught in the middle. Who was telling the truth? More questions swirled in his mind, and with the crowd still buzzing with uncertainty, he realized the urgency was growing. This conflict had implications far beyond what they could see. Everything hung in the balance, and the next words could shatter the fragile hope they had. Who was lying, and what if the truth was even darker than he had imagined? The chaos around them echoed in Jake's ears like a storm, voices colliding, panic rising, and anxiety pulsating through the crowd. The mother's voice quavered as she clutched her daughter's small hand, while the man stepped closer, defiance carved across his features. "I'm her father. You're not taking her away." Jake's heart drummed wildly. He sensed the danger spiraling. The girl Ava was caught between conflicting worlds, and he had to act fast. "It's okay," he urged, stepping forward. "Let us all take a breath. We just want to make sure she is safe." Tension crackled around them, and the crowd hushed, holding its breath. The mother's eyes shimmered with desperation. "Please, you're scaring her," she pleaded, her gaze flickering between Jake and the man. "She's been through so much. We just need to find her a safe place." As the man's face twisted in anger, Jake stepped closer, raising his hands in a placating gesture. "Look, let her speak. Ava, can you tell us who you want to be with?" His voice softened, hoping to reach her. The little girl's eyes darted back and forth. Taking a step back from the father, her tiny voice finally broke through. I want my mom." Every eye snapped to the woman, who looked lost. The man's expression turned from anger to shock, his breath hitching in disbelief. "What are you saying, Ava? She's not my dad. He's just someone who said to come with him." Ava's voice was shaky, heavy with the weight of a child's fear. The mother rushed to her side, embracing her tightly. The man looked visibly shaken, steps faltering. No, it's not like that," he stammered, confusion etching his features. But with his claim fading, the crowd began to murmur, whispers bouncing off the nearby tent, drawn to the revelation. The police, who had been observing closely, moved in, surrounding them. "Ma'am, can you confirm that you are the legal guardian?" one officer asked, focusing on the frantic mother. "Yes," she breathed, clutching her daughter to her. "I have the papers. I came to this festival and we got separated." The officer nodded, turning to the man, whose face had turned ashen. "Sir, you need to hold on while we investigate this further," the officer instructed. The protective instinct within Jake surged as he glanced at Sarah, who stood nearby, her eyes wide with disbelief. "Jake," she said softly, her voice lost in the din, "you did good. You saved her." The reality of what had just happened started to settle in. The faces surrounding them had shifted from joy to relief, laughter had sparked again amongst the realization that danger had been averted. Emotions reflected back at Jake, weaving a tapestry of concern and gratitude. Henry arrived, joining them, his eyes scanning the scene, surprised to find Jake and Sarah in the center of the unfolding drama. "I heard what happened. Are you two all right?" "We're fine, Dad," Jake reassured him, still trembling, the adrenaline high. "Quite the night, huh?" Henry chuckled weakly, his smile tinged with the gravity of the situation. But Jake felt different now. He wasn't just a son standing in the shadow of his father anymore, he was part of a community, stepping into the light. With the little girl saved and nestled into her mother's arms, he felt pride blooming within him. As the police took statements from the mother, Jake stepped away with Sarah. "I wish I could have saved more," he said, frustration mingling with relief. "You saved her life tonight," Sarah replied, her eyes sparkling with admiration. "You were brave, you were the hero." Their chemistry sparkled amidst the chaos, and Jake felt something larger unfolding between them, not the old resentment, but flickering hope. "Thank you for being here by my side," he said, memories of their shared childhood surfacing, the laughter they once shared echoing through him. Before he could process it fully, Henry approached again, excitement painting his features. "You both need to see this." He pointed toward the main stage where a whimsical festive atmosphere began to return as organizers rallied together to restore the joy of the event. They walked over, side by side, and Jake could see the glimmer of wonder returning in the eyes of the children, laughter ringing louder. Above them, the sky cleared slightly, stars pinpricking the obsidian darkness. Just then, Ava raced back over with her mother, her tear-streaked face lighting up. "Thank you, mister." She beamed, hugging Jake tightly before retreating to her mother's thankfully warm embrace. Jake looked down, his heart swelling in disbelief. "I'm so happy you're safe," he replied, feeling a sense of fulfillment blossom within. Sarah placed a hand on his arm. "You're amazing. Tonight, you really showed how much you care." Jake smiled, the warmth of connection filling the void that had been growing since childhood. They had retreated from their old arguments, and now stood together on the brink of something new. "Let us not lose touch again," he suggested, determination igniting within him. Sarah nodded, and their eyes locked, a silent promise forming. Together, they whispered in unison just as the festival broke back into voice and laughter around them. As they embraced the evening together, Jake felt the heavy shadows of his past beginning to lift, replaced by the light of hope and connection. This wasn't simply about the rescue of a little girl, it was a victory for all of them. It's time to let go of old grudges and embrace the power of healing. And as he stood there wrapped in the warmth of new beginnings, Jake knew this was just the start of their story of reconciliation, love, and the strength in unity, like this transformation. You need to subscribe now to catch every exclusive story. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and let us know you care. Comment with your reactions and feelings about this ending. Share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second, make a difference today.